What's up, y'all? I'm Lady, and today I am back with another book talk. So, in today's video, we will discuss The Healing by Jonathan Odell. This book was excellent, y'all. It was written and published, I should say, in February of 2012. It is a slave story, so you will be surprised when you look at the back, and because it's about a woman, this white man telling the story of a slave in this novel. Yeah, I definitely gave him the side eye. But after reading it, reading the author notes, everything, I highly recommend it. So I enjoyed this one mostly by audiobook. I'll say probably 50-50. But I highly recommend the audiobook because of the author notes at the end. It includes a author interview with a 91-year-old midwife who served as a bit of inspiration for the author's story, right? And that the end of this book has the author note of to the reader. And one thing I liked is that he said when he told his friends what type of story he was writing, they told him, do not give us another To Kill a Mockingbird, okay? We don't need that from another white person. And he paid attention. He paid attention to that. I was excited to read this one because it's historical fiction, which is my favorite genre. And like I said, I was skeptical at first, but I'm with it. I'm with it. It's obvious and very evident that he did his homework when writing this story. And he's an excellent author, an excellent writer. I love the flow of this story. So I'm going to read the synopsis from Goodreads, and it says Mississippi Plantation, Mistress Amanda Stratofield loses her daughter to cholera after her husband refuses to treat her for what is considered to be a slave disease. Insane with grief, Amanda takes a newborn slave child as her own and names her Granada, much to the outrage of her husband and the amusement of their white neighbors. Troubled by his wife's disturbing mental state and concern about a mysterious plague sweeping through his slave population, Master Stratofield purchases Polly Shine. She is a slave that has a reputation of being a healer. But Polly's sharp tongue and troubling predictions causes unrest across the plantation. Complicating matters further, Polly Shine recognizes the gift in Granada, the mistress's pet, and a domestic battle of wills ensue. So that I perfect synopsis. Perfect synopsis. And this story starts with Granada. So Granada is the one telling this story. She's a little girl. She is taken in by Polly Shine, and she's considered to be a healer. She has sight, as they say. And at the start of this book, Granada is now a 75, almost 90 something, I think, or in her 70s, and she is known as Gran, and she's still living in that area. So now in the present tense of the story, it's like in the early 1900s, I think, maybe around the 1930s. And so she has all this memory of being a slave, and now she was a midwife, and Granada, birthed a lot of children, but now she's just considered old, and it's now the 30s, and everyone is seeking doctors. And then also at this time, which some history, because this is historical fiction, right? Some of the history, at that time, women who were midwives, they were, threatened with jail time if they continued to practice without being, certified or having a medical degree or something, right? So Gran lives her life, and she is telling her story to a little girl that comes into her care, and that's how the story flows, right? um what I like the most about this story is there is no magical Negroes, no white saviors. As a matter of fact, the slaves and Polly shine and their healing, and them being in control of their own lives and freedom is the center, the focal point of this story, and I absolutely appreciated that. Polly Shine is one of the most interesting characters I've ever read, and I think she's gonna rank up there as one of my all-time favorites because I loved her wit. I love how she treated the people. She was a healer, and because she was so good at healing, they thought voodoo was involved, some magic was involved, but she pointed the people in the right direction. She pointed them to God, she pointed them to proper eating and stuff like that. There was no magic to it. The people were just sick. The slaves were just sick, or the enslaved people were sick because they weren't properly taken care of. They were treated like animals. And when she came in and said, start feeding them this, start, preparing their homes this way, give them some shoes on their feet, then those people, they got better. Right? So I really love that. I really love that. Her, there was no magic to her healing. um I will say there was, I guess you would consider that a bit of a twist. Something we find out at the end of the book, that Granada comes to realization for something in the end of this book, and that just, oh my gosh, it broke my heart, but at the same time, I loved what happened and how some of the people survived. That's all I'll say about the plot for that. So yeah, The Healing by Jonathan Odell. Um I think it focuses on, the importance of oral history. So much of our history is lost. The point about midwives and how our children were born, in those times our ancestors faced. Those women, um, they knew what they were doing. They didn't have any degrees, but they knew what they were doing when it came to birthing our children. So I would recommend this book to anyone who loves a good historical fiction novel. This one is a complete story. It's wrapped all up at the end. And like I mentioned in the audio book, listen to that interview with that 91-year-old midwife and how she birthed children and helped families in like the 1940s and 50s. So it was great. This book, you will not be disappointed. And I'm definitely going to hold on to this one. And this one will definitely be a reread somewhere in the far future. Okay, so this was the third book that I read in April of 2023 this year. And after I finished that one, I read Tituba of Salem Village. This one doesn't have a cover on it, but stay tuned to my next video where we'll discuss this one. So that is it for me in this video. I'm Lady, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye, y'all.